All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick's on the Power. So today I want to talk about the topic of classic physique being easier than bodybuilding. Now, this topic has come about from both the Phil Heath interview where he's talking about classic physique guys are just guys that aren't cut out to be Mr. Olympia, calling them weekend warriors, stuff like that. But recently I saw other bodybuilders chiming in on this, other pro bodybuilders that seemed to agree a little bit with what Phil Heath was saying. In one of the videos in particular that I just saw today actually, they drew the comparison that when everyone watched cartoons as kids, they wanted to be the Incredible Hulk. They wanted to be He-Man. They didn't want to be Spider-Man or Aquaman, the more downsized but more aesthetic physique. So the argument that lies within that is that everyone wants to be the bigger guy, but some people can't. So that's why they go to classic physique. Now, honestly, I do think there's a lot of truth in that, and that could be why classic physique is growing so fast, is because a lot of guys realize, they can't be that big. But in addition to that, I think the reality of the situation is the mentality is changing. I don't think it's just guys looking for an easier route. I think it's guys looking for a better route, guys looking for a healthier route, guys looking for a more attainable and really a more realistic route. So while I do feel like there is the potential that there's probably some guys, potentially a lot of guys, that pick classic physique because it's an easier division. They have more pro cards. It's just an easier way for them to become pro. The categories, the height and weight, makes it easier for you to fit into that division. I understand that, and I do understand the mentality behind men's open bodybuilders thinking, well, these guys are looking for an easier way to be bodybuilders. They want to be bodybuilders, but they can't be. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I honestly think that now the mentality is starting to change because of the things that we've seen recently with Rich Piana, Dallas McCarver. Guys don't want to be the mass monster anymore. They don't look up to the mass monster anymore. They're still impressed by, okay, this guy's huge. Look how much muscle this guy has. But I think the days of, okay, I want to be this 400-pound monster, I think those days are starting to end. And people are looking back to the golden era bodybuilding and calling it the golden era bodybuilding because those are the physiques that they would really like to have. Because I firmly believe that classic physique is bodybuilding. It's the same thing. It's classic bodybuilding. Back in the 70s, some of these guys that you see in the classic physique Olympia today, if they competed in the 70s, they'd be considered big guys back in the 70s. They'd be considered, the top bodybuilders back in the 70s. So just because bodybuilding today has evolved into what it has evolved into doesn't mean that's what bodybuilding always has been. So I feel like the mentality is changing and people are looking back to the 70s like this. I prefer this version of bodybuilding over today's version of bodybuilding. And both of these are bodybuilding. So while it may offer some people a quote unquote easier route, I think a lot of people are getting into it because they like that look. I think that's really the genuine truth to it, is they prefer that older classic look, a more downsized look, not so much a mass monster look. They really want to look like that. That's really what they see themselves looking like. They don't want to, call me crazy, but they don't want to look like a Phil Heath. They don't want to look like a Big Ramy. It's fun to watch a guy like Phil Heath, a guy like Big Ramy, a guy like Dennis Wolf. It's fun to watch these giant guys on stage. There's no doubt about it. But not everyone wants to look like that guy. And I think more and more the mentality is shifting to, okay, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Frank Zane, Samir Bannout, Mike Menser, Franco Columbu, Serge Nubret. A lot of these guys were under 200 pounds, if not just a little bit over 200 pounds. Where some of the guys today, like I said, 350 pounds in the offseason, it's just not attainable. So I think saying that a classic physique guy just doesn't work as hard as a men's open bodybuilder, or they don't have the potential of a men's open bodybuilder, I think that's not true. I think there's plenty of guys in classic physique that could easily be a guy that weighs 275, 280, 290 on stage, but they just don't want to. Take Chris Bumstead, for example, one of the top classic physique guys, placed second last year at the Classic Physique Olympia. This is a guy with a big frame, a big structure, a taller guy. I think if this guy wanted to get into men's open bodybuilding, he certainly has the genetics to do so. This guy could be a guy that's 260, 270 on stage, but he chooses not to. It's not that he doesn't have the potential to, it's that he doesn't want to. He wants to look like a classic physique guy. He wants to be a classic physique competitor. But then again, on the other side of the coin, I can see the argument, Breann Ainsley. He used to be a 212 bodybuilder, but he wasn't quite cutting it in 212. He kind of changed up his physique a little bit to make it into classic physique, and he was very successful in classic physique. So there's another example where I could see, you could say it's quote unquote easier than bodybuilding, but I think for the most part, the mentality is the main thing that's changing. I think people want to write off classic physique and say it's just an easier division. It's only growing because it's easy. There's only a lot of people interested in it because it's easy, and I don't think that's the case at all. I think classic physique is popular and growing because the mindset, like I've said, is shifting, and that's what people want to look like. So I get the argument. I see where it's coming from. I see what it's based in. But I think overall, the main interest in classic physique is that people are starting to want to look like that. Whereas, yeah, they might have wanted to used to look like, the Incredible Hulk and He-Man. They might have seen, Marcus Rule back in the day. Man, I want to be giant like that. But now I think they're looking back and saying, man, we don't need to look like that. That's not healthy. That's not what I want to do to my body. We can do this, do it in a more healthy way. Now, granted, I'll admit, these pro classic physique guys, they're taking steroids too. These guys aren't natural. Men's open bodybuilders, they're not natural either. But the classic physique guys aren't pushing their bodies to such extremes as the men's open bodybuilders are. And I think it's really, really good for the sport because it's going to bring a lot more mainstream attention to it. It's going to look a lot more attainable. A lot of these guys, they could have crossover careers in Hollywood. They have mainstream appeal. They don't have to be this big mass monster that can't do anything else. These guys can still be active and have careers outside of bodybuilding. So I just think overall, classic physique is a great thing, but let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. Do you think classic physique is just an easy route for guys that want to be bodybuilders but can't? Or do you think classic physique is a new division that's kind of changing the mindset? It's giving people a new standard, a new goal to aim for. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.